into this. Card for this week is What's Your Story? Each of us has a story, a personal drama that's uniquely ours. Our story is the identity we've created that we now believe ourselves to be. Our stories define our limitations, telling us what we can and cannot do, and how much love, success, and happiness we're entitled to. The stories we tell ourselves about who we are, whether either open us up to new possibilities for the happiness and fulfillment, or they shut us down. Whenever we were struggling or not getting the results we want, we can be certain that we're living inside a story that doesn't serve us. The good news is you're not the only star of your drama. You're the creator of it. If you don't like what's showing up on the screen of your life, you're the one with the power to change it. Simon says, choose an area of your life where you've been struggling, where you're unhappy, or where you feel like you're not getting your needs met. 2. Begin to distinguish your story you tell yourself about this part of your life. What role are you playing within this story? Are you the victim, the villain, or the damsel in distress? 3. Next, ask yourself, what internal or external shift would I have to make in order to become the hero of this story? 4. Commit to taking the actions that you see. Alright, so what's your story? This is rewriting our stories this week. If you don't like something, figure out how you can change it. Just because something bad is going on does not mean that you have to live in that energy for the rest of your life. At any point in time, you have the ability to wake up one day and change every single point of your life. If you don't like it, change it. You know, at the end of the day, you're the only one that has to go to sleep with who you are and what you've done. So if you're unhappy, change it. All right. And I'll go ahead and speed this up so that we can get through this a little quicker. Okay, so for the Law of Attraction card, why is it taking me so long? The only reason you have not received what your desire is because you are holding yourself in a vibrational pattern that doesn't match the vibration of your desire. And this is the same as the story we just said. If you're not in the vibration of what you're supposed to be, which means if you're not happy doing something that you love, then a lot of times the universe, the divine, God will allow things to get more difficult for you, or they'll push the time out. Even if you're working hard, if you're not happy in it, that could be God telling you maybe you need to take a break, or you're not where you're supposed to be, or that's not where you're supposed to do, or what you're meant for. Maybe you were meant for something higher. Maybe you're meant for something better. Say if you work at a gas station, I'm not saying working at a gas station is bad, but if your sole purpose was, let's say, to be a nurse, and you're working in a gas station and it's just comfortable and you're just staying in your comfort zone, but every night you lay down and you're like, I'd really love to be a nurse so that I can help people. I really wish I could be a nurse so I could help people. But if you don't take those next steps to do what it is that will make you happy in the long run, and God knows that that's what you want, that's what you will make you happy, and your life purpose is to do something to help others, then He will make that job at that gas station the worst job ever. He will make it so uncomfortable so that it feels more comfortable to leave the place than to stay there any longer. So sometimes things get hard because God's trying to redirect us somewhere so that we put ourselves as a priority where we're supposed to be. Because remember, God sees more than we do. He sees the whole story, our whole story, from beginning to the end. We only get to see a portion of it at a time. So if He has bigger plans for you down the road, He will try to guide you. And if you try to veer off, then He's going to gently persuade you to go back. Just like, when we were young and we did something that could get us extremely hurt later on in life, we would get a smack on our butts, and that was our Father saying, don't do that because you're going to get hurt. Stop doing that. You need to quit doing this. You need to not be in this spot. You need to not be this person. You need to not do this. So we're guided to go where we are meant to go so that we can be at our highest vibration, because our highest vibration is when our needs are met. Not always our wants, but our needs. Our needs are what will make us happy in the place that we are supposed to be. And so if it's taken a little longer, you need to look at your story and be like, well, I was engaged for 2 months. Now I've been engaged for 9 months. Now I've been engaged for 14 years. And we're still not setting a date for the day that we're going to get married. Like, at some point or another, if something doesn't progress, then someone's going to leave. Like, you need to recheck your role in your story. Are you still the leading lady or the leading man of your story? Or is someone else taking the lead of it and pushing you back? You got to take a full perspective of everything. And then, see what it is that God wants you to see. Look all around. And it could be something where even sometimes we're in the wrong. If we're doing something or we're saying something wrong, we need to look at our whole story around us and see ourselves from the eyes of humility, through the eyes of, letting go of the ego and looking down deep in our soul. And sometimes that's hard. That just reminds me, of the dark night of the soul. And for anybody going through the dark night of the soul right now, I am sorry, but I'm going to tell you right now, it will change your life. It'll help. It's going to suck going through it, but once you get through it, it gets so much better. It completely changes your eyes and your perspective of the whole world, so to speak, I guess. It makes you drop your ego, and it makes what takes the place of ego is humility and humbleness, and being able to see a story from all perspectives, So if anybody's going through the dark night of the soul, which kind of am feeling that you are, because there's 2 owls there in it, there's a lot of dark. God's telling you, you may be going on this path, but there's going to be a light at the end of the tunnel here. You're going to get miracles out of it. So let's see here. Let's read what we got. The universe has my back. The key to prayer is to forget what I think I need. Yeah, this is what I was saying earlier about we can only see a small portion, but God can see the big giant picture. When I focus on my inner light, I see the world through the lens of love. And that's the same thing, going through the dark night of the soul. You have to go inward and see the light that's in you. Sometimes we darken it ourselves and we have to relearn the light. Okay, I create mindful moments throughout the day, reminding myself I am love and miracles are natural. God says all you have to do is ask. Ask in faith and you'll receive. But make sure to take a look at your story and make sure what you're asking for is what you want in the long run. Because sometimes God will give us what we're asking for, even if it's bad for us, just so that we learn to trust Him. My energy creates my reality. What I focus on will manifest. Yes, I actually, look, here my new ring. It says manifest, okay? So, it's kind of like your thoughts create your reality. If you wake up every morning and you're thinking, all right, today I'm going to be productive and I'm going to work out and I'm going to eat healthy. Okay, you start the day out that way, but then an hour later you're like, nope, You stop thinking about it and you think about everything else in the world, just like the story of Peter stepping out of the boat, and he had his eyes on Jesus. And so he was able to step out in faith, and he was fine walking on the water. But the second he took his eyes off Jesus and started putting his eyes on the struggle or the storm that was around him, he started to think. Why? Because he put his focus on the storm instead of the presence of God that was there leading him and guiding him. God's not going to lead you where God can't guide you and keep you safe. Where you are going to go, that's where you're supposed to go for your story, for the highest good. And even if it seems like sometimes really bad things happen, you've got to remember it can always be worse. And there is a possibility that you've got yourself into the mess and God led you to the least possible worst outcome. Sometimes we think things are horrible, but in the end we see why we had to go through them. And a lot of times it's because we fucked up and we didn't listen to Spirit. When we tell Spirit, I'm not ready right now, or I can't do this. When you say, I can't do this, you're literally telling God and the universe, the divine, Spirit, that I don't trust you. Could you imagine standing in front of God and God telling you to do something and you say, I can't do that? When knowing full and well, if God wants you to do something, He's going to make you do it. He's going to give you the ability to do it. And if you are asked to do something and you end up at the very end, you can't do it, there's something in that story that you had to be where you were meant to be at that time doing that thing so that it can come out the right way. Just kind of like the story, my children's story, about God telling him, he had to catch the sun. So, okay. Anyways, instead of praying for an outcome, I pray for the highest good for all. Okay, now this right here, this kind of reminds me of putting this together. If you are praying to God for one specific person, instead of praying for an outcome, for the happiness, for the way that it's supposed to be. One, if you're praying to have that one specific person, first of all, you take away their free will. And you don't want to do that. Even God gives us free will. And if someone doesn't choose you in the first place, then why would you want that anyways? Like, when you think about it, why would you chase someone who doesn't want you, who's literally running from you, who's literally treating you like shit, who's literally trying to make you jealous of other people, or who's treating you bad, or won't give you the stability that you want? Why would you chase that? Why would you ask for that specific thing if that specific thing is literally what is causing all your pain and what is putting you in the worst place? Why not pray for someone that's going to come along, that's going to give you that feeling as the person that you're praying about now, except they will show up and they will love you without leaving. They will be there for you when they need it. They will offer you the stability and the love and the sweetness and the generosity and everything that you want. Why would you pray for something when God knows your future going forward and it's probably 1,000 times better? So don't pray and don't expect a certain outcome with someone. Pray for the best outcome that could come, and God will supply the rest. Okay. I do whatever it takes to get closer to consciousness. Okay? And so this reminds me of going back, and meditating and grounding and getting getting grounded, there's a lot of owls. I should probably do an owl spirit animal. Because we've got 3 owls here, which I still have to do the inchworm, and I will get that up. Okay. And this one here says humility. Allow me, divine, to always accept the right assistance. I welcome your help in every way and delight in receiving it. Yeah, this is someone who's coming humbly and asking, for the guidance. You can't, if you're humble, you're not coming to God and demanding, God, I want this specific person. God, I want a house with 4.7 acres and 1 dog and 37 cats and 4 horses and 8 mules. It's not. It's not like. It's not like that. It's not like that. When you're coming and you're asking humbly, you're saying, God, allow me to get to where I need to be so that I can be happy, to achieve that which will make me happy in the long run. Because if you got like 47 mules and like 3 goats and I don't even know, those sometimes the more that we have, the more problems we have. So just always pray for the best outcome and not always a specific one, because if you're asking for a specific one or you're kind of demanding it, then you're not trusting God. You're saying, I want this, whether it's good for me or not. Manifest your highest good, one that makes you happy. Okay, so we got receiving elation. I am born of infinite joy. So yeah, there's that happiness. Okay, and peaceful expansion. I am a field resting in the sun. My dreams germinate and grow within the security of divine love. Grace dreams with me and through me. All of my dreams are divine in origin. All of my dreams are divinely fulfilled. And this is pretty much telling you here, your dreams are going to be fulfilled. As long as you ask for it and then you work for it. That's a part of law of attraction that people tend to forget. They want everything they want without having to put anything in. And God says that's not how it works. You can ask for something and I'll give you the ability to earn it yourself humbly. So. All right. And for our oracle, we had roots of abundance. Being stabilized by deep roots, anchoring yourself and feeling secure in your life, trust, and belief in abundance. This card signals you to pay attention to how you are anchored in the story of your life. There it is, the story of your life again. I love when God does that. Trust that you will be taken care of. The world is full of limitless potential and will nourish you according to your beliefs, regardless of temporary outer conditions. You are not a victim of life. Life happens for you, not to you. Even if you sometimes slip into that way of thinking, if you are grounded and internally steadfast, nothing can uproot you, and you have the ability to manifest your intentions with ease. This message here is simple. Your life is safe and secure, and your intentions are coming to fruition. All your hopes and dreams are firmly grounded and take root so that you can receive for the stars in your life and expand your dreams further than you can imagine. Everything in the material world is a reflection of your interior world. You are unstoppable and unshakable because you believe that you are abundant. Know that you can easily move from merely surviving to thriving when you pay attention to staying grounded. If you find yourself in ungrounded thinking, now is time for radical trust. Growth never follows a straight line. You will manifest what you need when you need it. A tall, healthy tree doesn't need to hold on to the ground for dear life. It knows it will not fly away with the wind because its roots are planted deep in the earth. So, yeah. I pretty much summed up everything we had already gone through so far. So, again, this week, find out who you are, ground yourself, and do it humbly. Look at your story, make sure you're the leading person, and make sure that in the story you are humble in it and not the villain or not the victim. You know, because sometimes it's easy to play the victim. But this is where God wants you to be humble and see that even if bad things come, it's not done to you, it's done for you to put you on the path to where you need to go, so that by the end of your story, it's amazing. It's kind of like that book, you know, where that flip second at the very end, it just makes the book all worth it. I remember I was at the store one day, and this book kept catching my eyes, and it was about a little fox. And they were all going to see the birth of Christ. All the animals were, and one was like, I come to do this, I come to do this, and someone was like, I come to do this. And eventually one of the animals came to the fox and is like, little fox, why aren't you coming with us? And he looks up sad, and he's like, well, because this animal had this to offer, and this animal had this to offer, and this animal had this to offer, but I don't have anything to offer. Well, that's not true, because God made us all for a purpose, for a reason. We have something that we are meant to do here. We have a purpose. And so at the very end of the story, you know, the little fox goes up there, and I can't remember whether he made baby Jesus laugh or he curled up next to him to keep him warm. I can't remember how it goes. I just remember the very end, he found his purpose, and he found that he did bring meaning and joy and happiness, you know, that he wasn't worthless, because none of us are worthless. None of us are worthless. You know, sometimes we have to be put on a different path. Maybe sometimes some people have to fall out of our life because they will put us on a path that's not ours. Just like recently, a lot of people have been told to stay away from someone, and it's not to hurt them, it's to help them, because sometimes the pain is what is going to bring the progress. The pain is going to push those people into going where they are supposed to be, so they get on their true path, and they find their true person. And I'm going to tell you right now, that's one of the hardest things, is to walk away from someone that you care about, because if you don't, they won't find their true path. They won't find their happiness. They won't be that last animal that comes to that baby fox that says to him, you know, why aren't you coming? You can do something, so that it pushes that little baby fox to go find its purpose. Sometimes you have to step away, and sometimes people have to step away from you, and it's hard, but you have to trust that God has a bigger plan for those that are on that path. Just as I said the other day in the cancer reading, you know, I met my twin. We haven't talked in over a year. I met my twin really quick. You know, I mean, I knew. And it was a quick thing. And then it intensified, and we split. However, my twin still, by coming into my life and leaving, actually forced me to go through the dark night of the soul here, to humble myself. Even though I thought that I was pretty humble, because I didn't do anything wrong. I don't do anything wrong. You know, I usually stay to myself. I usually try to help people. The dark night of the soul isn't always what you've done wrong to yourself as in a physical action. Sometimes it's the thoughts that we think about ourselves. Because imagine this. Imagine your God, the father of every single human being. And every day he has to hear his children talk bad about how they don't believe in themselves, how they aren't good enough, how much they're not loved. If that was your child hearing that, would it not break your heart? And at a time, God will be like, the only way that I can fix this to get them to listen is to send their twin. To send their twin to force them to go through the dark night of the soul. So they humble themselves, not because they're doing something bad to others, but because the way that they speak to their self is hurting their soul. So look at your story. Make sure the words that you're speaking not only to others but to yourself are uplifting. And if you can't figure out what you do good, go to someone that you actually love and ask them, what is it that I do good? What is it that I'm good at? And do not fight them when they answer you. Like, when they answer you something, believe them. Because in their reality, that will be their truth. And you can't take away from someone else's reality. It's going to be different from yours. However, when you start to believe the things that they say that are good, it will help you. It'll help you to see yourself in a different light. That, like with me, one of my, they say a lot of times, whenever growing up, if you didn't receive one of the 5 love languages, that's the one that you crave the most when you get older. And like with me, the way that I feel the most love is words of affirmation. However, I'm also the person who was always so self-conscious and so feeling unworthy and feeling undeserving, that if someone would compliment me, it would make me feel so good, and it would make me feel like I could stand in my power. But then it would instantly flip it and be like, well, they don't really know me. They're just saying that, I'm probably not that good, and they were just trying to be nice. Because our self-worth, we didn't make ourselves important in our own story. Make sure in your story that you are important. Okay? Because you are. We all are. We are all important. We all can affect everything. And if you don't believe me, I saw this thing online, and it said, if you don't feel like you affect anything, or if you don't feel like you affect anyone, go on Amazon and order a pair of socks. Okay? Just one single pair of socks. Okay? If you don't think you affect anyone's life, go on Amazon and order one pair of socks. Someone will have to make that pair of socks. Someone will spend that time to make that pair of socks. Then someone will take their time to package that pair of socks. Then someone will take the time to send the package of socks to you. You may not see the process. You just may see, hey, I hit send on this button and the package comes. The small things that you do can greatly affect all of those around you, just like the ripple effect. You have the ability to start off as a small pebble thrown into a lake and be a small ripple, or you can throw that stone in there the right way and make a ripple that's so big it affects the whole world. But you have to be the one to determine how your story's going to go. And if you don't like where it's going to go, or the outcome, the way that you have it set up, then maybe you need to change either the setting, the people, the characters in it, or yourself. Make sure that you if you've got to change you, you're humble enough to change yourself. And that's when you'll find your roots. Sometimes it's not about learning who we are. Sometimes it's about learning who we're not. Okay? All right. I think that's all I got for you. We're already at 31:35 or something like that. I'm sure it'll get cut down a little bit. But that's what I got for you. And I hope this helped. This week, look at your story. And remember that God won't guide you where His mercy can't protect you. Make sure you're not saying, I'm not good enough, because you're literally telling God, I don't trust you. I don't believe you. You know, don't do that. If God says you're good enough, just like Elijah and Moses, they didn't feel worthy enough, but God had a plan for them. And if they would have gave up because they felt like they weren't good enough, how bad would this be? The slaves would still be in Egypt. We would still be dealing with, a lot of people would still be dealing with that, you know. One small man God can take and change the whole world, or change the lives of so many around them. So be that person. Make yourself the superhero of your own story, you know. I told my son he broke his arm or broke his elbow. Like, he completely shattered his elbow and dislocated his arm, and they had to go in and they had to put a steel screw in there, and that's the only way, that was the only thing that was connecting his arm. And so now, you know, we tell him that he's the man of steel. But so write your story, be your own Superman, be your own man of steel. Something bad may happen, but something better can come from it. All right, that's all I got for you. Bye-bye. Bye.
Stay, even for a moment, that's okay. Even if the sky is turning gray, ooh.